Hi, Mom. What are you doing today?
Providence Place, owned by the Sisters of Providence, an ideal rental setting for retirees to continue their active, independent lifestyles. We have bright 1 and 2 bedroom apartments, a magnificent chapel with daily mass, restaurant-style dining, and wellness and entertainment programs. Call for a tour, 413-534-9700.
Mom, call me when you're not so busy.
Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel.
I'm Steve Kiltonick at the Newman Catholic Center at the University of Massachusetts, where a massive Thanksgiving was held for the recently canonized Saint John Henry Newman.
The Catholic Life Conference is coming to the Diocese of Springfield this spring. I'm Carolee McGrath. We'll have the details coming up.
And Dan Dumas fills us in on the latest news from the Diocese of Springfield. These stories and more are just ahead on this edition of Reel to Reel. Hello and welcome to Reel as we come to you today from the Newman Catholic Center here at the University of Massachusetts in Amherst. 3 years after the death of Cardinal John Henry Newman in 1893, a small group of students at the University of Pennsylvania joined together to minister to their fellow students. This goal was inspired by Cardinal Newman and his devotion to the service of Catholic university students who were enrolled in secular colleges. In 1929, here on the campus of UMass in Amherst, a similar group of students formed a Newman Club. This was a place where Catholic students, faculty, and staff could go for both spiritual and intellectual growth. In 1963, the Newman Catholic Center was built at UMass, opening its doors on April 1st. Newman has now grown to be a home away from home for thousands of UMass and Five College area students. On October 13th, Cardinal Newman, the 19th century religious scholar, was canonized a saint by Pope Francis, nearly 130 years after his death. His life continues to fascinate our contemporaries as much as he did his own. Steve Kiltonick explores the spiritual journey of this gifted English writer and convert to Catholicism, explaining now what makes this new saint so extraordinary then and now.
He was a 19th century theologian, poet, educator, historian, philosopher, Catholic priest, and cardinal. John Henry Newman began his career as an Anglican priest of the Church of England. He graduated and taught at Oxford University, where he became a well-known and respected academic, public intellect, and preacher. When he converted to Catholicism, Newman helped to found the Catholic University in Dublin and was influential in Catholicism's revival in England after centuries of repression. He also founded the Birmingham Oratory and Oratory School. During his life, Newman wrote thousands of letters, sermons, hymns, diaries, and prayers. His major works are widely believed to have anticipated the Second Vatican Council. On October 13th, in a ceremony at St. Peter's Square at the Vatican, Pope Francis canonized Cardinal John Henry Newman, along with 4 others, becoming the first English-born person to be declared a saint since the 17th century. A week later at the Newman Catholic Center at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, a massive Thanksgiving was held to celebrate the canonization. Springfield Bishop Mitchell Rosansky was the main celebrant, with the Newman director, Father Gary Daly.
The pursuit of holiness and truth were for John Newman the driving force of his life. He gave light to those who were searching for the truth.
Father Daly quoted Newman from The Idea of a University, a compilation of essays on higher education.
It is the education which gives a man clear conscious view of his own opinions and judgments, a truth in developing them, an eloquence in expressing them, and a force in urging them. And to this end, St. John Newman suggests that a university's soul lies in the mark it leaves on the students.
A reception was held after the Mass, where Newman rosaries and a meditation and devotional book were available to students. Victoria Newman Seed, who lives in England, grew up in Wilbraham and St. Cecilia's Parish. She is the Development Officer for Catechesis at the Catholic Bishops' Conference of England and Wales. She has a Ph.D. in philosophy from St. Louis University.
I was involved in some reading groups where we read about Newman on the university and we looked at ideas like that. But I also became very captivated with his poetry, and I loved The Dream of Gerontius.
In England, Seed became familiar with Newman's classic hymns such as Lead, Kindly Light. She also had a rewarding experience editing a 25-part podcast series on Newman called Journeying with Newman, produced by the Oratorians. People from all walks of life contributed, including Melissa Villalobos, whose life was saved by the intercession of Cardinal Newman, which led to his canonization. She spoke on motherhood. Seed reflected on a passage from The Dream of Gerontius, discussing the drama of existence. Newman was born to Protestant parents in 1801. His father was a private banker, and his mother a descendant of distinguished French Huguenot printers. At 15, Newman felt called to do some kind of missionary work, and at 16, he went to Oxford University to study theology and philosophy.
From such a young age, he had this extremely single-minded adherence to the truth. He wanted to know what the truth was.
Newman grew up in controversial times and even shared in the anti-Catholic sentiment of the day.
And one of the things that struck him, and in many ways upset him, was that the Catholic Church and the Pope always seemed to be on the right side of these controversies.
A transformative moment came when Newman discovered the Catholic doctrine of the true presence of Jesus in the Eucharist, which was reserved in the tabernacle of every Catholic church.
This absolutely blew him away and became one of the final sort of tipping points of him deciding that he needed to become Catholic.
In 1845, Newman converted to Catholicism, giving up his social status and leaving his cherished faculty position at Oxford. He lost many friends and suffered the indignity of being cast out by the Anglicans, but Catholics were also wary of him because of his Anglican roots. Newman became a priest and then was made a cardinal by Pope Leo XIII in 1879. As a Catholic, Newman's revolutionary ideas on a number of topics are still widely studied today.
The idea that ordinary Catholics, that is the laity, non-clerical Catholics, can learn, can love, and can defend the faith. It's the idea of God giving us our definite purpose. God has given me a definite purpose. He has entrusted some work to me that he has not entrusted to another.
Newman's idea of ecumenism were discussed at the Second Vatican Council in the 1960s. Newman believed that Catholic education produces gentlemen, people who are modest and think more of others than themselves.
This idea of forming the whole person, this integrated personality, creates a seriousness for serious topics, but also an ability to enjoy oneself, to take proper recreation.
Newman Centers, located on the campuses of many public universities like UMass, get their name and role from Newman, who believe Catholic students must be given a place to gather, to support, and encourage one another in their faith. The Newman Club began at UMass in 1929 and continues to exist in the present center, which was built in 1963. It's hoped that the canonization will spark a renewed interest among students here on campus during a time when universities are dropping the Newman name from its centers.
One of the challenges we have being named a Newman Center is that no one really knows who Newman is. And now with the canonization, it is brought to light. Now people know, oh, this is a saint. This is a real person who lived in the 19th century.
I think this was actually a really good opportunity for a lot of students, including myself, to freshen up on who he was, what he meant to the church. What spoke to me about him was his quote, "I have a purpose that no one else has. I have a job to do that no one else can do." And I think we as a Newman Center and we as a generation need to hear that, because I think a lot of people have kind of fallen off that train and don't necessarily believe that their role is important in this world.
Heather Addington is the new Focus team leader at Newman. This is her first year at UMass.
I think the one thing that has actually consoled my heart a lot, especially being a missionary, is Newman's quote of God leads in strange ways. He knows your plan, even though we're trying to figure it out, but if we just trust in God, he'll lead us.
Father Daly said Newman's motto, "Heart speaks to heart," sums up Newman's life.
It's the capital H heart speaks to the small h heart in the sense that Jesus, his own sacred heart, speaks to our heart. And I think that's how John Henry Newman lived his life.
This canonization is for all of us a time of great joy, to know that he who pursued the truth so doggedly and at his own personal expense and at his personal loss, really, was able to inspire us so well as Catholics.
On October 25th, at the meeting of the Western Massachusetts chapter of Legatus, a special Mass was held at the Newman Chapel to honor St. John Henry Newman. Monsignor Chris Connolly of St. Michael's Cathedral celebrated the Mass. After dinner in the Quigley Room, Seed spoke on what Newman can teach today's Catholics in the current culture wars. Seed had a reserved seat at the canonization because of her work on the podcast series.
Prince Charles was there. He did have a front row seat. I was several rows behind His Royal Highness. There was such an atmosphere of joy, I think, of hope for the Church and of celebration, at the recognition of Newman as a saint.
At the Mass of Thanksgiving, a portrait of Cardinal Newman was on display. It was given to the center in 1963 on its dedication by Father Thomas Finn of St. Mark's in Pittsfield. His roots can be traced back to England, where one of his family members worked at the American Embassy.
In 1890, this portrait was given to the family, and it's actually signed and documented signed by John Henry Cardinal Newman himself. And so as a result of that as a second-class relic now, and so we're very privileged to be able to have that.
St. John Henry Newman died in 1890 and is buried in the cemetery of his beloved Birmingham Oratory. That this Newman Catholic Center has a piece of history from this English saint is indeed an honor for the entire Newman family at UMass. For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonic.
If you're interested in learning more about St. John Henry Newman, we have a link at iobserve.org where you can listen to the full series of 25 podcasts. And we should also mention that a book on these individual reflections will be released next year on the first anniversary of Newman's canonization. And joining me now is Springfield Bishop Mitchell Rosansky, who is heading to Rome for his ad limina visit this coming week with Pope Francis. Thanks for being with us, Bishop.
Thank you, Sharon. It's great to be with you today.
So this ad limina visit happens just once every 5 years, and you and all the bishops of New England will be meeting with the Holy Father. What's on the agenda?
Well, first of all, Sharon, it's our time as bishops to go over, as Region 1 bishops, to meet not only with the Holy Father, but with the different departments of the Vatican. So we will be meeting with the head of the dicasteries for liturgy, for Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, for ecumenical and interfaith relations. So we will be meeting with different departments, and the highlight of the visit certainly will be the ability to meet with the Holy Father as a group. In preparation for the ad limina visit, each diocese sends over a report. And this is our what's called quinquennial report that covers the years from the last ad limina visit to our time in meeting with the Holy Father this year. And so in sending this report, it will go to the different departments of the Vatican, each to the appropriate department. They will look at it, and when they meet with us, they will ask the bishops different questions about what we have sent to them. And so I'm looking forward to sharing what has been happening here in the Diocese of Springfield with the different dicasteries at the Vatican. And in meeting with Pope Francis, we will probably have a dialogue about what it is to be a bishop in these dioceses in the New England region, in the United States, and will be for him to get to know us a little better, to know the different issues that we face, and to receive from him encouragement in our ministry as bishops.
All right, Bishop Brzezinski, thanks so much, and safe travels, and we look forward to hearing more about your visit when you come back.
I look forward to sharing more about it too when I return. Thank you, Sharon.
And still to come on Real to Real, Dan Dumas has the latest from the Diocese of Springfield. And Carolee McGrath gives us a preview on the upcoming Catholic Life Conference. These stories and more are all still to come on Reel to Reel.
The Chalice of Salvation, your weekly spiritual connection. I'm Passionist Brother Terrence Scanlon, your Chalice host, inviting you to take time out of your busy day and join us Sunday morning. We welcome Bishop Mitchell Brzezinski, the ordinary of our diocese, and begin our annual November Novena of Remembrance from the Gate of Heaven Cemetery. The Chalice of Salvation, your spiritual connection, Sunday morning at 10 on WWLP TV 22, and coming up next on Fox 23 WXXA.
Hi, Mom. What are you doing today?
Providence Place, owned by the Sisters of Providence, an ideal rental setting for retirees to continue their active, independent lifestyles. We have bright 1- and 2-bedroom apartments, a magnificent chapel with daily mass, restaurant-style dining, and wellness and entertainment programs. Call for a tour, 413-534-9700.
Mom, call me when you're not so busy.
Springfield Diocesan Cemeteries now offer above-ground entombment at 2 locations in Springfield, St. Michael's and Gate of Heaven cemeteries. Both Catholic mausoleums are open daily from 8:30 to 3:30. For more information or an appointment with our Family Counseling Office, call 413-733-6019. That's 413-733-6019.
Travel with Catholic Communications in August 2020 for the pilgrimage of the decade as we experience the Oberammergau Passion Play. Join Springfield Bishop Mitchell Brzezinski and Father Gary Daly for the spiritual journey to Germany and the village of Oberammergau. Since 1634, this famous play has been performed every 10 years in this quaint alpine village. Our 10-day pilgrimage will begin in Brussels, Belgium, and continue through Cologne, Heidelberg, Oberammergau, and Munich, Germany. With daily breakfast and dinners included, pilgrims will enjoy daily Mass in many of Germany's brilliant cathedrals and churches, a cruise on the Rhine River, a tour of Cologne's cathedral treasury containing the staff of St. Peter, and a visit to Munich's famous Glockenspiel. Book this incredible opportunity now for $5,439. For more information, go to iobserve.org.
I'm Dan Dumas with your Reel to Reel news briefs. Deacons and their wives gathered for the 18th annual Deacon Appreciation Night, celebrating their commitment to serving God and the Church. Sharon Rulier has our story.
Springfield Bishop Mitchell Brzezinski began the evening celebration with a 5 p.m. Mass at St. Teresa's Church in South Hadley. Deacons have served in the Diocese of Springfield since 1983. Bishop Brzezinski offering words of appreciation for the service that they have given to the church in Western Massachusetts for 36 years.
I think it's important that we come together to recognize the different ministries and gifts and talents of the deacons who are in so many places. So they're in parish ministry, they're in prison ministry, they're in hospital ministry, in nursing homes. So whatever corner of the diocese we look at, there are deacons who are engaged in ministries in so many important places.
A social hour and dinner following the Mass offering an opportunity for the deacons to show their appreciation to their wives. And special pins were presented to the class of 2009, celebrating 10 years of service. Deacon David Southworth, a member of this class, currently serves as administrator of Holy Name Parish in Chicopee. He is one of a handful of deacons currently in charge of the daily operations of a parish, and he says he's happy to do it.
Of course, the word diakonia in Greece means service, so as Father Savage would always say, it's not just about getting the limelight at Mass, it's about being in the trenches, helping people, organizing people to help other people. That's what Christians should be doing.
And Deacon Enzo DiGiacomo, who serves at St. Anthony Maronite Church in Springfield, was honored for 15 years as a deacon. As a former surgeon and ER doctor, Deacon Enzo says it has been a privilege to take care of both the body and the soul.
And I tell you, it's been a great honor to function in that role with no altruistic feelings, no hip hey and hurrah. It's just a basic thing. You got to care for people, and that's what we all need in our church, in the Catholic Church today.
There are currently 80 active deacons in the Diocese of Springfield and 8 in formation, scheduled to be ordained in 2021.
EMTs, firefighters, and police officers were honored for risking their lives on a daily basis for the safety of their community. Carolee McGrath tells us more.
Hundreds crowded into St. Anne Church in Chicopee for the 13th annual Deanery-wide September 11th Memorial Mass held on September 11th. First responders, veterans, and active duty military personnel processed into the church, led by the 4th Degree Knights of Columbus for the 7 p.m. Mass, celebrated by Father John Connors, pastor of St. Anne Parish. Conventual Franciscan Father Joseph Bain, the pastor of St. Stanislaus Parish in Chicopee, was a concelebrant and delivered the homily. Father Bain spent several days at Ground Zero in New York City in the aftermath of the terror attack, helping first responders who were working at the site, hoping to find survivors and recovering remains.
I come from a firefighting family, and that, along with the fact that the first death certificate issued for 9/11 in New York City was for a fellow friar, Michael Judge.
In 2001, Father Bain was the chaplain for the Buffalo Fire Department and Erie County Emergency Services.
The first responders, unlike those that were trying to get away, had to go in to try to rescue. I believe they laid down their lives for others. So many, and sad to say, so many are still dying because of the aftermath and the what they breathed in. And
Father Bain is referring to the first responders diagnosed with illnesses linked to the toxic smoke and dust from Ground Zero. During the prayer of the faithful, candles were lit in front of a folded American flag as the congregation prayed for fallen first responders and fallen military men and women, families who lost loved ones, and for peace. Close to 3,000 people were killed in the September 11th attacks, including 343 New York City firefighters, 37 Port Authority police officers, and 23 New York City police officers.
They went to work thinking it was a regular day and they never came home. And we can never forget those people and what they sacrificed that day.
A reception was held after the Mass in the parish hall. A free will donation was collected to benefit Lorraine's Soup Kitchen in Chicopee. Reporting for Reel to Reel, I'm Carolee McGrath.
And remember, you can always stay informed on all the latest news in the Catholic Church, locally and beyond, by logging on to iobserve.org. There you can read articles written by our Catholic communication staff, as well as view archived episodes of Reel to Reel. That's iobserve.org. I'm Dan Dumas, and those were your Reel to Reel news briefs.
And finally this week, Strengthening Our Faith is the mission of the Catholic Life Conference, which will be held next March 21st in the Diocese of Springfield at the Mass Mutual Center in Springfield. There will be some big-name speakers, including Scott and Kimberly Hahn, who are often on EWTN. This event is really designed for everyone. Carolee McGrath has more on a recent kickoff event.
On a recent Sunday, people from all across the Diocese of Springfield gathered for an afternoon Mass at St. John the Evangelist Parish in Agawam.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Father Michael Piers, the pastor of St. John the Evangelist, celebrated the Mass, which preceded a kickoff for the Catholic Life Conference. Father Piers is the spiritual advisor for the committee that was formed to host the Catholic Life Conference March 21st, 2020 at the Mass Mutual Center in Springfield. April and Jay Hellenick, who have 6 children, are organizing the conference. They say the event is for Catholics of all ages and stages in life.
When we had heard that the men's and women's conferences had gotten canceled, it just felt like there was going to be a hole here in the diocese, that they had worked so hard to create this evangelization thing that we all really needed. We understood that it was maybe there was a time for a new season. And so the idea kind of just sprang up.
The conference will feature big-name speakers such as Dr. Scott Hahn and his wife Kimberly from EWTN. It will also feature Catholic speakers Trish Short and Hudson Byblow, and Popple, which mixes music and comedy for kids. April and Jay attend Blessed Sacrament Church in Greenfield, and they're involved together in youth ministry and pro-life outreach.
It felt like in my heart that this is something we were supposed to do. And normally April is called to do a lot of things, and I just kind of go along with it because I know that it's right, and that's exactly it. As soon as she said that this is what she felt she was supposed to do, I was like, of course, let's do it, I'm in.
The Hellenecks have been working in conjunction with Springfield Bishop Mitchell Rosansky, and he will be celebrating Mass at the event. The promotional posters for the conference ask an interesting question. Why are you Catholic? It seems like an easy answer for people who go to church all the time, but maybe it's hard to articulate. And it's a difficult question for people who have fallen away. But the conference also asks people to come and see.
It's no secret, right? There's not as many people coming to church anymore, and people are disenfranchised or just kind of, I don't know, just moved on and are doing other things and put other things before Jesus. Why is this something that maybe would draw those who are kind of on the sidelines?
Well, that's a good question. I think really to provide an opportunity for Catholics, whether they're fallen away or they've been in the pews all the years and years and years, or they find themselves to be opposed to some of the teachings of the church, really to bring us all together in adoration of the Blessed Sacrament, in common brotherhood and charity, and to really bring us together around the very heart of the Lord who comes to show us his love.
Honestly, the goal is to reach one person. That's the goal. Seriously. I think numbers are a big thing for people. I think the bells and the whistles are something that's really important, but not to us. We are all on the same journey, and if we can do all of this for one person, then we're better off than we were without that one person.
The committee is still looking for volunteers, and they're asking for prayers as they reach out to spread Christ's message of love, mercy, and joy. Reporting for Reel to Reel, I'm Carolee McGrath.
And for more information on the conference or to register, we have a link at iobserve.org. Also, a reminder that the 2019 Annual Catholic Appeal is still underway and has not yet reached its goal. Our Faith in Action is the theme for the 60th Annual Appeal, calling the faithful to hear the gospel and put it into action. Some 40 programs and ministries in the Diocese of Springfield depend on donations from the Annual Catholic Appeal, including Reel to Reel and the Chalice of Salvation weekly televised Mass. If you would like to donate, we have a secure link at diospringfield.org. And thanks so much in advance. And for this week, that's Reel to Reel. Thanks so much for watching today, and a special thank you to Father Gary Daly and the entire staff here at the Catholic Newman Center for hosting our visit today. Remember, for more updates anytime, you can find information and news on the Catholic Church, both here in the Diocese of Springfield and around the world, on our news and information site, iobserve.org. We also are on Facebook, updating daily while our reporters work on stories for Reel to Reel. So check us out and friend us at Catholic Communications. And we will see you next week for another edition of Reel to Reel, your window on the world around you. See you then.
Reel to Reel is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the Annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.